Hello and welcome to episode 42 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough here in Cycle 76, Day 2. We've been through the ringer with this one, folks, and it's time, unfortunately, for us to move on from our dream of having everything connected directly to the tiny tubeway stations, because we're pretty sure, and when I say we, I mean the brain trust of folks who understand a whole lot more than I do about how programming works. We've more or less agreed that the tiny tubeway stations going into every single building, and especially on the edge of the map, are causing our issues. So, what's going to happen is we are going to just give up on that idea, as good as it was. And it was a good idea, but we're going to give up on that and instead just use ladders for a whole lot of this stuff. Because I love the idea of this playthrough way too much to quit, and even though it's been absolutely just gut-wrenching trying to reload all of this over and over and over and over and over again until the cows come home. And I don't even have any cows, so you know that's a long time. That's a stupid joke, but I don't want to give up on this. I want to get 1,000 beavers on Diorama with everything that we've worked for. Whether or not we're going to be able to use the tiny tubeway stations to get there really shouldn't matter at this point. This is episode 42. We just got to get it done. So let's lock in, as the kids say, and just pop in a whole bunch of ladders up and down and up and down and up and down, because that's what ladders do, and just move on. Now, I am still going to use the tiny tubeway stations, but not on the edge of the map. So what's going to need to happen is we will make whatever logical attachments we can. So this tubeway right here, this tiny tubeway station cannot go in this exact spot because I'd have to tear this entire platform mess out, and I'm just not going to do that, folks. Just not going to do it. So what's going to happen instead is this will become a pathway to come all the way through here, around and around and around it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows, so on and so forth. I'm going to put a tiny tubeway station in this space because that will work. That'll allow everyone to get connected. Now, I know we don't have these connected at all because all of the tiny tubeway stations on the map were purged so we could actually use the map and try to fix things, and so much didn't work. But there's no more time for excuses, no more time for, well, the mod broke. Wah. I'm not going to do that anymore. We're just going to get it done. We're going to move on. And if it keeps crashing, then maybe that's a sign that this playthrough is cursed and needs to be over anyway. But I digress. All of these tiny tubeways that aren't directly adjoining the edge of the map seem to be doing just fine. So that also means that I'm not going to be attempting to put tiny tubeways all the way through the middle of this, and instead this is going to end up having to be a ladder going all the way up and down, and we'll connect with the tubeway stations where it makes sense, right? Because at this point, we just have to do something. Just have to do something. So, we currently have 198 homeless beavers because this isn't completely connected, and it is going to be completely connected if I can at all manage it. Just, I wish this would have worked, but you know how it goes. Life's not all sunshine and rainbows, so we'll just have to do our best with what we've got. So let's get that popped in there. That will be a connection here. And then this suspension bridge is going to go away. This is just so they can access stuff, and we'll probably have this go across all of these as the time nears for that. So those of you who've been around here a while already know what's happening. That's right. We're about to time-lapse the insert your favorite word here out of this and just completely rebuild all of our housing stock and get these beavers somewhere to live in peace and harmony with each other without the tiny tubeways. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm placing the rest of these ladders, and I'm getting everything connected up the best way I know how. And we're going to let them build it all, and then we're going to move on to the next project. Alright, so they've got all these houses and ladders built, and yes, it's a very suboptimal pathing, but we're going to fix it. So currently everything is going through this ladder here, And this suspension bridge here, once I dynamite this pillar right here that is currently, shall we say, load-bearing for the purpose of pathing. Actually, no, it's not, because the tiny tubeways mod got disabled. So that means, dun-dun-dun, we can get rid of that. And that's going to be just so convenient. I should have noticed that earlier, but I didn't. So we're just going to keep on keeping on. They've got a couple more ladders here to build, but once that's complete, we can put another stack of housing here and then give a very easy access on this side, and that should help tremendously. But what do we do with all this space here? Now, you might remember a couple episodes ago, and by a couple I mean, I don't know, it could have been like 10 or 15. But I was talking about maybe extending the land on this very top level as far over as I could so that we could have some sort of actual buildings on here. And I don't really think that's going to be the best thing we can do with this space. So instead, and I do have to be mindful of the amount of logs that we currently don't have because, you know, we had to rebuild all of this infrastructure like 4 times in a row. But I think I'm going to end up putting some triple platforms here. And then because this is such a long walk all the way over here to where all this food and water is, I'm going to start storing some water over here near these row houses. Food probably is not going to be that big of an issue, but remember, we're going to have like 100,000 water stored if we want to have 1,000 beavers for a whole cycle, with the maximum length of the bad tide or drought being 29 or 30 days. So I think that's going to be a good thing for us to get into. I don't feel like at this point in this playthrough, especially with everything else we've been through, I don't think we're going to be expanding this. I did want to leave it open originally, just in case that was something that would happen. But at this point, I think we are well and truly finished with that idea. And the good thing about us putting in some tanks right here is, since this is an entire stack of ladders, all we will have to do is just dump them out onto whatever level it ends up being, and it's just going to solve so many problems. So let's peel our layers back a little bit, and also, you know, don't forget the central core is completely disconnected too. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. Baby steps, folks. Baby steps. So I believe our clearance that we're going to... Now the quote from the movie Airplane's stuck in my head. What's our vector? That movie could not be made today. Let's put in these things right here. And make one there as well. And then I should be able to just come in with a 3x1 overhang all the way across. And I do mean all the way across. And that lines up so nicely with the top of our buildings here, but we don't have to stop there. We can actually keep building higher than that. So once we have all of these platforms put in place, and it could take a little while because we don't have a ton of logs. If we go all the way down, you'll see that there's still plenty of oaks to cut. It's just, you know, a whole lot of this stuff was unceremoniously rendered inaccessible because of the tiny tubeway situation. But I am going to try at least a little bit to get these things reconnected. I don't think we're going to have that many issues with directly abutting the entrances of buildings. If that is the case, then of course the game will crash and we'll reload, and then I will say some things that I will have to cut in the edit because it's not safe for children to hear, and then we'll move on with our lives. But I think for sure, based on, you know, like I said earlier, the wisdom and experience of those folks who decided to dig through the log files, just not putting it on the very edge of the map is probably going to be the only thing we really have to worry about. So we'll let it just keep on keeping on. We also, if we need wood, which, you know, we do, we can demolish this inner wall right here because we've built the entire outer wall in this area. So let's go all the way down to the very bottom layer here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to relocate. You know, I really don't have to relocate that. I just have to push it in a little bit. But for right now, I will just get rid of this. It's 864. It's not going to leak because we built everything outside of it. So that is just fine. That's a good start. Remember, we were trying to expand our reservoir all the way out 1 block. And this side did get finished. This side is in the process, and we'll have to have some stuff relocated. And this side has not even started because I deprioritized it, and then, well, a whole lot of stuff happened with everything breaking. But we're making good progress, and that's what matters. We have 18 days left in this bad tide. Still a very healthy 13,000 water stored. But it's actually a lot more than that because we have our central core. So if we come all the way down here, this is basically the size of our access to the core. We have no verticality whatsoever because of the tiny tubeway station situation. That rhymes. So I think we're probably pretty safe, to be perfectly honest, putting this tiny tubeway station column back in the middle here. So that is going to need to be something where we figure out what levels we actually have to have pathway access to and just get everything popped back in place. Because remember, previously we decided, oh, we're going to put tiny tubeways everywhere. No. It was a great idea, but no, it's over. It's never been so over. So we'll just do a little bit of this stuff. And the way that these pathways are set up, we are going to have some, shall we say, unfortunate just jumbling of mess, but it's, again, we're in too deep, man. We're in too deep. And I guess just cause this is a weird level because it's kind of in between. So if I were to put that here and then put another one here, I don't think that would be a bad thing. We just have to make sure everything is actually lined up. Go up one more level, and then so on, so forth. I'm not going to abut the tiny tubeways directly into the buildings. We're going to dramatically reduce the number of them that we're actually using, and life will go on. So, is it ugly? Yeah, it's ugly. But it's fine. We will be okay. It's just unfortunate the way that this has been laid out is just really, really bad. Okay, so that is going to have to go. I mean, oh, this is so stupid. Why did I build this like this? There is no reason for this. The world did not need this, and yet I persisted. Oh boy. Mistakes were made. So it's ugly. It's really inefficient. It just is what it is, man, at this point. And because we built this to, you know, utilize the tiny tubeway stations, there's not really much of anything we can do. Except just pop those guys back in and move on with our lives. Is it ugly? Yes. We've established that. But we'll do this, you know, gradually as time goes by, because they do have to be able to get into places to actually do stuff. Oh, is this not connected on the top? It probably should be. And by probably, I mean it definitely should be. Yeah, that's going to be necessary. Oh, all of this stuff is completely broken. Oh, there's so much repairing. Well, the good news is, this is ready to go. We do not need to have here, 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 or here taken care of. And instead, we can start thinking about how we are going to populate this. Now, if we have this all the way in the corner here, I can put 1, I can put 2, I can put 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 would be right there lining up with that ladder. 7, 8 tanks. I think that's going to be pretty good, folks. So let's start building the ones that aren't going to be obstructed. That'll give us 5 right there. And it's going to be really, really nice to have this water right next to their houses so they don't have to, you know, go all over the map. But it will, in fact, folks, just take time to get this stuff built. You know the drill. We've been saying it forever. Doesn't make it any less true. We got 59 unemployed beavers because a lot of these buildings are paused or inaccessible entirely because of how this stuff has broken. But the good news is, the builders' huts and the hauling posts and everything seem to be doing just fine. Our amount of bad water is looking okay, even though this is mostly inaccessible. It's not entirely inaccessible, just, you know, mostly. And I am going to get these hooked back up this way just because that is the really the only way we could actually get away with this. And we'll just hope this doesn't break. But you know, having it going into every single housing building is just asking for problems. Because there's a lot of beavers that are going to go through those things. Whereas, you know, there's one beaver that works here, and maybe the haulers might come in, but It's not going to be nearly as much as 8 beavers through every single one of those at least twice a day. That's just going to cause so many issues. Come on, rotate button. There we go. Yeah, just bits and pieces, slowly fixed. And the sincere hope that it does not completely destroy itself. So it looks like this level got connected here for part of it. We just need these bits to go on top here. And, you know, we only have 230 beavers. We are going to start ramping that up even more. Yes, you better believe it. But you already know what I'm going to say. I also haven't forgotten about rerouting our water inlets. But again, because of everything that has happened and because of everything that we have to, or I should say we should fix, we have the opportunity to fix first. I'm going to delay it yet again to next episode, but that should be, assuming nothing else goes catastrophically wrong, which in this series is an enormous assumption, we should be able to do it next time and actually get this thing cleaned up, reorganized, looking a whole lot nicer. And with beavers that aren't going to get stuck in glitched tubeways or ladders. And there are a couple of you who suggested that maybe it was the Unstuckify mod that has caused problems by trying to free beavers from being trapped inside of the pocket dimension, I guess, that's created when they go through the tubeways. So I did preemptively disable Unstuckify, just out of the abundance of caution and an extreme desire to not do this for like the 18th time over. Oh, man. And there's also a fair number of you who said, you know, hey, it's okay, you can just quit and move on. I appreciate it, I genuinely do. But I'm not going to give up on this. I really don't want to give up. So, we'll just do our best. And if it becomes truly impossible, then that is something that we can litigate at that point in time. But for now, things are looking pretty good, and I think we're going to be just fine. So now that we do have water here, let's get these, I guess we could prioritize by haulers. That should be fine. We're also not pumping right now because it's in the middle of a bad tide, and I do not have, well, I guess I have enough to turn a couple more of these pumps on. Yeah, let's, oh, are we out of water? No, we are not. Yes, we are. Wait, hold on. Are we dying of thirst yet? Because that shouldn't be possible. Where's my... Okay, district center. Oh, wow. Okay, so the... It never ends. It never ends. So the beavers... Oh, God. The beavers only have access to 9 units of water, and I have 13,000. 13,000 stored in tanks they can't get to. Okay, all right. Oh, jeez. See, this is why you don't do this, kids. I say to my audience of mostly men between the age of 25 and 44. Yes, I'm sure most of you probably have children of your own, but okay, the ones they can't get to are the ones that have all of this water stored up. So, new plan. All of these pumps are going to be turned on. We're going to get every beaver who can get in here. And I've got to figure out the best possible method of getting this built fast to get up to the top. And you remember we talked about moving one of these corners of large tanks and putting in just the regular tubeway stations? I mean, I thought about it, and the way that these things are set up, I don't think it would be able to connect to the tubeways anyway. So I don't think that's going to be the best possible move for us at this time. It's just unfortunate that now we're kind of caught in the crossfire here, and it's going to be bad, folks. So here's what I'm going to propose. You take a look at this. This is just platforms all the way up. I'm going to take one of these stacks of double platforms completely out, and it's just going to become ladders. That's going to be the easiest thing for us to do. This doesn't support anything else. The only thing we're going to be demolishing here is ladders with a whole bunch of planks. So we get rid of that, and we come in here with the ladders. Make sure that's oriented the correct way, and then we'll just bring this all the way up. And we will spam click this. That brings us all the way up to a level that the beavers can access by normal walking. And then all I've got to do is connect here to here. And I suppose I should peel back a couple layers so I can actually see the path. Yeah, okay. So this is now priority numero uno. Get this ladder stack built immediately before all of the beavers die of thirst, because, man, I'm never going to live that down. But that'll get them access to at least some of these tanks, and then as we continue, more housing and the rest of them as things get built back up. Just have to be able to connect our tiny tubeway stations the correct way without spamming them absolutely everywhere. And then we just move on. Boy, what an adventure today has been. What an adventure today has been. But we're learning. And sometimes that's half the fun, sometimes that's most of the fun, and sometimes, depending on the lesson, it is none of the fun. Unless you're in a convent, then none of the fun is just nuns, you know, playing ping pong or something. I don't have any idea. But we're going to let them hopefully not die of thirst, and hopefully construct this ladder stack really, really quickly. Oh, please build this quickly, because you know these beavers aren't going to hold out forever. And that should being the operative term, be a successful endeavor. So what can we do while we're waiting for that? Besides, you know, holding out hope that none of these beavers are going to, you know, succumb to any of that stuff. We can check on the lower level, see how our replacement for the tiny tubeways is going. Oh, predictably they haven't done, well, insert your favorite phrase there. But at the very least, we have this access all the way up the side, the corner here, and that has been maintained between levels. That's a very good thing. We do have some additional pine trees that have started growing through here because we couldn't access them with this forester, and this one over here also would not reach, and I did not want to build another one. So that seems to be doing okay. But now we're out of bad water, which is going to become a problem when it comes time to fill the advanced breeding pods back up with extract, which we do still have, thankfully. So outside of the ladder, maybe some of the more important things that we could have them do now would be putting in these two tiny tubeway stations, and then also this tiny tubeway station, and then also this ladder here, which will attach to a path that goes into both this centrifuge and that medium tank. So let's get that prioritized as well. And then I believe there was one more tiny tubeway station here that I said at some point I was probably going to remove so we can get everything connected, but at this point I'm not going to mess with it. We're going to do what we can do, and we're going to move on. So hopefully they're making some good progress on these ladders. It looks like they've made a decent bit, but still really, really low on water. We're not out, and I don't think anyone died of thirst, but that was a very, very close call. I am so glad I managed to catch that because, yeah, there's only so many ways I can say that would have been a catastrophe without it being super annoying, so you see how it goes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to time-lapse this a little bit more just so they can get that critical infrastructure actually set up and operating correctly. And then we will dive into some additional repairs, additional improvements, and hopefully by the end of this episode, or the end of the time that I have to record this, we will be able to once again say, yes, we are marching forward toward the goal of 1,000 beavers with additional breeding pods and additional infrastructure. Okay, so I let it go for a while, and while they haven't finished all... Oh, they have finished all these ladders. I guess I just don't have everything connected absolutely everywhere. The central core is accessible to some degree, at the very least. Let's go back to single time speed, and let's go click on this large tank. Well, it doesn't have anything in it anyway. If any of these actually have something in them, then I believe we should get those reconnected. That has 300 something. That one's full, and that one's almost full. So what that means is we need to come to each of these levels and Ah. Okay, that's what's happened here. Let's, I know this is ugly. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's more important to keep the beavers alive than it is to have stuff look pretty. You know how it goes. So, that is, that's going to be our little secret that the, you know, the thriving beaver metropolis, or I guess non-thriving, depending on what day it is, actually has a horribly mismanaged transportation infrastructure. But at least now we have access to more water, so these beavers aren't going to, you know, die of thirst again. And we'll have to get everything else connected here. I think the way that these tubeways are going, I think I can just... I hate to just pop in single-level platforms along this entire thing, but I think at this point that's probably the only real option we have, along with getting everything completely reconnected once again. So we'll just do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then... Ah, that is the wrong level. See, you see how this is, you know, very quickly becoming a an unglamorous solution, but it is a solution, and sometimes you just have to get stuff done. And how many times have I made the reference to the City Planner Plays quote? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So, this will get... Oh, yikes, that is heinous, is what that is. But it gets all those things connected. Every last one, except, you know, these row houses that we're going to have connected to the tubeways. It's just a mess. But now we've made a decent enough impact on that to where when the... oh, this is all... it's all drained completely, huh? Okay, well, let's see. We've got 3.5-ish blocks up here, and we've got... Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not out of water anymore, so I'm not going to demolish this side of the dam yet. But we do need to really be cognizant of the fact that we are chewing up our reserves, and it's still another almost 8 days before we can replenish anything. It's actually, because it takes time to get up here, it's probably about 9 days. But the good news to the good news to the good news is this expansion of the reservoir is going very well. And we have another one of these walls that can be ripped out. So, again, we're only taking out the stuff that we are absolutely sure is not going to cause huge issues. And that will give us some additional wood to work with as well. This is going to have to go somewhere. And we do have another storage for extract. I think it is way down here. Next to this centrifuge? Okay, yeah. I'm going to start emptying this tank, because we don't need to do this right now, but it is going to have to be moved if we're going to expand this reservoir. We also have this mess here that has to get expanded out, and that was going to be part of the whole, hey, we got to redo this whole thing anyway, right? So who cares how we do it thing? It's, but, you know, it's, yeah. I don't even have to say it. We've said it so many times. And we could keep saying it, and keep saying it, and keep saying it, and nothing would actually get accomplished unless we just did it. So that's what we're going to do. But the good news is, this side and this side are complete, quote-unquote, and for us to be able to start building out the additional pumps over here, it's not going to take that much more time. So we already talked about this a little bit a couple episodes ago, but I think what's going to make the most sense is we just build them up all on stilts. We don't worry about having a second level, second layer, or whatever. If we have to have some sort of diversion thing, when we have the overflow moved, instead of being here, we can have the overflow come off, say, like off of this side, and in that overflow, we can have that be a couple blocks deep, and we can put in some additional pumps. But the main reservoir needs to be the main reservoir. And we also, in theory, should get rid of more of these stacked things here. So we'll just keep on keeping on. We know they can't reach this yet. They'll get to it when they start putting the pumps in, but we just have to keep that rolling right along. And we've got some nice storage here for water next to the barracks when we have additional water to put in there. But we still have 3,600 here. It's fine. We have a whole lot of beavers dying of old age. But we are up to 240, and we have 240 beds available. So that's good news, because that means we are just shy of 500 total capacity. And that's not including, what do we have, 10 of these things, so that's another 80. So we're over the halfway mark with the houses that we built so far. And it's not going to be that hard to squeeze in another 420 or whatever the number is. That's remaining. It could be a little bit closer to 450. I don't know. My math estimation's not very good. But I digress, and I digress, and I digress. I don't have a link to get to the center of this anymore, but I can do a little bit of planning out this way. Like I said, this is going to end up getting... it's going to end up getting moved in one more block. We already talked about this, so let's... A couple episodes ago, at least. And by a couple episodes, I mean very long time. We'll just take this entire corner out. I believe is going to be the simplest way to do it, because that's all there. And then we just move this a couple blocks in, and by a couple I mean one. All I need is to have a 3x3 directly abutting the corner, and we will just need to have a single sluice there. Put that there, and that is going to be our simplest method of retaining irrigation that cannot be pumped, because this is 6 blocks high. They'll always have this here, and a 3x3 by 1 block high thing that isn't being pumped, in theory, should it last at least long enough during a full-length drought that it's not going to end up being a huge catastrophe for the crops that are underneath. But because we can, we'll add a second layer of height, and then that's going to get us at least, what, 40 days, I believe is what that's going to be worked out to. So this just has to be open all the time to make sure that it gets filled up, and then it, of course, isn't going to be able to come back out, and that is going to help that. Now, we have this land here. The height underneath it, for those of you who are curious, is, I believe, 5. Okay. So if, and we talked about raising the reservoir a couple blocks, but at this point, I think we're just going to leave it as it is. So this can be removed here, here, and then that will make this as clean of an edge as we possibly can get. I obviously can't blast this out because that's going to flood the lower levels. Or is it? I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to mess with it. Anyway, all that to say, we are now almost ready to get this whole thing lined all the way up just as soon as this corner is taken care of. Lined all the way up. Just have to verify our numbers here are good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I know it looked weird because I went down a couple levels, but there's 4 here. There's 1 here, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on the outside. This side, much easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we just have to wait for this to get done, and then, of course, this should be the same story, but just to verify, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And why did I spend all that time going over that? Because we are going to be able to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 across, and a couple layers deep. So we already said we don't want to have a pump here. So that is going to end up slightly reducing our capacity to put stuff in. That will be, I believe, depending on how I orient this, just the loss of the pump sitting here, the pump sitting here, and maybe the pump sitting here. This one can just come straight down on top of that, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. But what I'm going to do is I'm still going to put the triple platforms here anyway, because that is going to be the simplest, easiest way for us to get this accomplished, and boy is it going to be an accomplishment to get all this stuff taken care of. I'm just going to, for the sake of my personal sanity, put single platforms here so I can have identical heights on everything. This, of course, being completely open for the straws, and then over here, of course, once this land goes away, that'll get a little bit easier. That's where a pump would go. if we didn't want to have it in the corner. We'll use this space for other stuff, like I said. And then we come in from here because, again, it's perfect. It's absolutely glorious. We just have to be able to get everything arranged correctly. I really do appreciate your patience with this. I know this has been such a frustrating playthrough for so many of you to watch. And, you know, I do apologize for it, but at the same time, the authenticity of playing the game exactly as it happens and not using dev mode to, you know, overcome unfortunate things that happen is very important to me. Oh, if I don't flip these, then the two that aren't going to get used are right here, right here. That's actually better. It's very important to me to be authentic, and I know it might be a little irritating to some of you who just want to see this hurry up and, you know, get it over with, so on and so forth, but I think there's immense value in honesty and transparency, and I, in my personal life, strive to live by that. So I'm going to give it to you guys, too, exactly the same way. Hopefully you can appreciate that, and if you don't, that's okay, too. But that's how I'm going to do it. That'll give us some more pumps. The way this is set up, it can basically never cause this entire map to become unirrigated because we have all this depth that isn't pumpable. That also feeds our mangroves down here, and then we talked about putting another layer of mangroves in. I'm pretty sure we're going to do that too, but like all these things, it's best laid plans go to waste when things go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. And all we can do is just smile, nod, and try again. Well, or we could just sit here complaining all the time, but that's not productive. So, you guessed what time it is again, folks. It's time-lapse of building nonsense time, and they're going to do their best to get this thing at least partially in place before we have our fresh water come back in. And we're going to see how much they accomplish in the next 3.5 days. Alright, now it's cycle 77, day 1. And the flooding has commenced, as it always does. But soon, friends, soon, this will be fixed. We have our first pumps in, and the quote-unquote permanent solution here. All we have to do is... oh, they're not going to be able to reach that until I build more platforms. Well, that's fine. Wait, they totally built it. How? Okay. Maybe I've just completely lost my mind. I know there's at least a couple of you who said you already lost it a long time ago, and you know what? I'm right there with you. So let's pop this in here, and then we will have to take this corner ladder out and turn it into a whole thing. Levees. My brain is completely destroyed, but it's fine. They'll build that, and then this can go away. Let's actually prioritize these. And then this whole corner can get moved out. This can get blasted away. And that is going to be another opportunity for us to put a triple in. Triple in here. Triple in here. And I believe this still has a couple more to go as well. Good progress is being made, folks. It's just a little slower than we might all care to you know, have to deal with, but all's well that ends well, right? Let's begin constructing the next little bit here. And I know because we have these pieces of terrain that haven't been all removed yet, it's going to be a little weird, but we will be okay, because they'll be able to build this stuff pretty soon. Let's just bring these all the way out here. I know there's still others that are going to have to get connected, but we will get there. We are going to run out of planks at some point, which is going to be maybe a little more than a mild inconvenience, but I think we're going to be in okay shape. So what's going to happen here, because I don't want to pump out of this corner thing, is this is going to give us a very, very good place, if I put these platforms in, to put a triple tank with a couple things, or triple tank, that's not what it's called. A large tank, not a triple tank, a large tank. Put that off to that side. Bring this all the way around. And then I'll have a space here for either some sort of well-being thing, like a detailer might actually be a decent fit, because that's kind of a strange shape thing anyhow. That'll be, I guess, my face, and then this one over here could be Gary, because everyone loves Gary. And I think that's going to end up working nicely in this corner as well, just as soon as everything else is taken care of. Just got to trust the process. As much as I know you guys are absolutely sick of hearing me say, trust the process. That is, for better or for worse, our fight song of sorts. Get this pathway all the way through here, and then that's going to allow us to keep putting in these deep water pumps. This one, we'll have to wait until that piece of land is removed, which, you know, I don't actually think I've got a piece of dynamite on. Oh, no, I do. It just didn't show up for some reason. Very strange. But I can pop this here, this here, this here, and then once that one's done, same old, same old. But this is going to be a huge, huge, huge start for us here. And I know it's not going to fit perfectly to get additional deep water pumps in here. But the idea behind all of this was to be able to squeeze as many as we possibly could in any given space. And it's going to work on the sides here. It's just the way this is set up here. I don't know, we might end up kind of reshuffling this, but for now I need them to be able to pump water. I need them to be able to pump a lot of water. And as you know, that does just take time. Now, let's put in our levees here as my brain stops being able to pronounce words in English. I guess I can report back on the other languages I have either previously learned or I'm trying to learn and let you know if that works any better than this. But for now, we'll just let them take care of that. We will preemptively remove all of this mess and start the process of duplicating our thing from over there. Just put in this sluice set to always open. They should be able to build most of this without it being too big of a deal. And then we just... Ah, that doesn't go there. That doesn't go there. This goes here. This goes here. And then this piece doesn't need to exist because what we're doing is making this 2x2 into a 3x3 when everything gets removed. See, sometimes I can be smart. Let's just permanently open that. Get this thing back rolling and get that set up there. We have a bad tide coming in 2.7 days. And we do have everybody pumping. That much I can verify. Because 12,000 water is, you know, a pretty good amount, but as the population gets bigger, that's going to be so far below a safety point that it's not even worth considering a good amount now. Okay, so that one has been dealt with. Got one more here, and I know this is going to be at least one more. Yeah, it looks like we'll do another 3x, and then it'll be another 3x, and then that should do it for that one. So I know we're going to have another set of ladders somewhere else. I think for right now, the easiest thing for us to do is going to be to just stick a stack here. That was not marked for water. That should be set to supply. That'll make things a little bit easier. And I think we have made some very nice progress. We've still got a little bit more to do. I'm going to try my best to get as much done as possible. But as you know, it does, in fact, just take time. But as soon as they get these 3 pieces of levees in, then I can take this entire corner out. In fact, I can take out this all the way to here. And I know I can take this out. And I can take that out. And then I can take this out. Oh, I forgot. This is 2 blocks high. I'll just have to do that. That's fine. Making nice progress with this. Oh, it's nighttime. I forgot it because I have the nighttime thing turned off because you know, doing the time lapses, it turns into a whole well, I can't see anything because the screen's flashing so brightly. You know, you got to be careful with that stuff. So that's looking okay there. They'll blast this out in due time. I think it's worth getting these extra pieces of platforms put in place so that we can build another pump before the end of our pre-bad tide thing here. This will be another one, same kind of situation as this guy right here. Obviously, the platforms haven't been built for them to be able to access anything, but this is already working out pretty nicely here. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Now, in service of one of the final goals that we had for this, I may end up having to take this large tank away, and maybe this one too, because a long time ago we kind of decided we wanted to put Earth Repopulators in all 4 corners of the map. So this is it's a 7x7 building, which, if this is going to go all the way to the corner, see if I can get this to play nice, is going to overlap this one and this one. Since they're empty, I'll go ahead and take it out. But we'll build structures on top of this, I guess, because this is, you know what? This is a great place to put some food storage, because that's 2 blocks tall, and I will have, well, at least 7 that'll have to be dealt with. So I guess we should decide what kind of food we want to store over here. Or maybe we just do, you know what? Let's be smart. Let's be smart. Let's put food storage first, because these are already empty, across all of this, and then on top of the food storage, we put tanks. And how many types of food do we have? We have 6. We will have more than 6, but 6 is a very good start, and we already know we have 5 finished food items. We are not currently making algae, so I'm not going to do that. But we can do corn rations, we can do eggplant rations, we can do fermented cassavas, we can do fermented soybeans, and our final one for right now, we can do mangrove fruits, because we don't somehow have any more than 200 storage on that bad boy. Okay. Well, that'll get us pretty far. I don't think we need to have more than that many berries, but I'm, you know, kind of sorry I hadn't thought of that earlier. Maybe some of you did. Maybe you already left a comment saying, hey, why didn't you do that? And if you did that, I want you to know I appreciate you, and I'm glad you're looking out for me. But I read your mind. I'll still give you credit for it, though. Just say you have ESP or something, whatever that's called. Alright, so that will allow us to put another stack of buildings in here. Water is back up to 15k, which, hey, isn't a... You know, it's not a ton, but it's enough. And sometimes enough is enough. Except not in the sense of now you're fed up and you don't want to do anything anymore. Now it's... I'm going to stop talking while I'm behind. Alright, this corner gets to be done, which means now we can do the same thing we did on the other side here. And pop that in. Pop that in. That is not correct. Anyone remember that Vine that had that exact same phrasing? That is not correct. I miss Vine. I know the kids have TikTok now, but it's not the same thing. I also do not want to go on there. Alright, so detailer here. Which one was this one? Is that my face? We'll just do some radial symmetry here. Pop that guy in. Do doorways on that side. Well, I'm going to keep the doorway on this side because that's going to be easier to access from everything else. But that's going to go into water mode, set to supply. And then pretty soon we can get all the rest of this stuff popped in here, and I think we're going to be in really, really good shape, folks. Feeling very good about where we are. You know, I guess I could have put something else here, because I thought it was only the 1x2 like I had on that side. Alright, well, is there even a 2x2 that doesn't require power? Because I know the mud bath does. Okay, that's not going to be a great fit there. Oh, how could I forget? How could I forget? How could I forget? Oh, it's absolute travesty that I forgot about the incredible, amazing, perfect frog statue. So, what we'll do is we'll just have one here with me and one here with Gary, and then this will become a frog statue. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. No flaws whatsoever. I will flip this so it's facing the same general direction. But now it's bad tide time, 23 days. And friends, I believe this is going to be a decent spot for us to put an end to this episode. I'm so glad we got through an entire episode. This is an hour and a half of me recording this. I don't know what it's going to condense down to with the time lapses, but we got through an entire episode without the game crashing, which means, well, okay. We got to talk about correlation versus causation, because apparently that's a really huge topic now, for completely unrelated reasons. Just because we changed something and something else didn't happen does not mean that's why it didn't happen. However, we've demonstrated in the past that the game did crash when this was constructed, so since we have not built it, it is reasonable to assume that that might have had something to do with it. But the most important thing is, the game didn't crash. And now we can continue on our quest to get to 1,000 beavers. We got to like 252 for a very brief period of time. Now we're down to 246. But I think now we can really start to ramp it up because the game's stable and we have more things connected. We have another 234 housing slots we can get beavers in. We have beavers that can do other jobs for buildings we haven't even built yet. And things are just looking so much better. And I'm feeling so much better about this playthrough. This has been so stressful. So stressful for so long. And I know some of you are probably really irritated with it. And a few of you are even saying, you know, it's time to just give up and move on. Never give up. I've already used the video of some Japanese guy in the sea talking about like life ambitions and fishing and all that, and it has the never give up in English that shows up. Anyway, but that's what I want to do. I want to actually see this through to the end with as much of the original vision as I possibly can. And I think we're going to get there. But of course, you already know, Beard Boosters make it possible to do all of this insane stuff, and then every once in a while take a couple days off to troubleshoot or just say, you know what, I need to put this on the back burner and go do some other things. And my life outside of YouTube has gotten busier and busier and busier the past couple of weeks in very good ways. No, absolutely no complaints here. But those folks do make it possible for the channel to be just a little bit more stable and for me not to worry so much about what happens if I have to skip a day or 2 or 3 or 4 days of uploads to attend to other things. And I cannot thank them enough. And I'm glad you're here too, even if you're not on that list. You being here is very important to me, and I hope that whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, you stay safe and you have fun. And we'll see each other again very soon. Also, today on the Beard Railway channel, one of the most exciting video ideas that I've ever had has come to fruition. Would appreciate if you go check that out if you're into model trains at all. But if not, that's fine too. I'll see you later. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.